Okay, so we had left. I hope you did try to think about the pipelining as such. Um, I mean, you just spend some time on understanding how this pipeline works for this house construction, or any other example that you might want to come up with. Even if some things are not very clear, it will get clear as you start understanding it. So we'll now jump to the computer organization part. So I will again repeat the same story that I was telling you before. So there is this guy who is sitting here, and there are some small boxes for which he can access. And then there is this memory. So this memory has infinite number of bytes, or some amount of bytes, or maybe not infinite, but some number of bytes. So this is the memory, and, right, and these are called registers. And you get give a set of instruction stream to this byte. I mean, I say give a set of instruction to this guy, then it means that maybe this instruction tree stream, maybe this instruction stream is part of some part of the memory, right? So maybe you have stored it in some part of the memory and you give the starting address for that particular instruction stream, and this guy will start fetching this one instruction after the other and start executing it. So there are many stage. So of course, if I give him three instructions, let's say I give him three instructions, he can let's say it's I1, I2, and I3. He can execute I1, complete the execution, then he can execute I2 and then complete its execution, and then execute I3 and complete the execution. But we already saw it's similar to the analogy is similar to constructing the houses. Instead of waiting for the entire house of house one to be completed and then go to house two, it's maybe there is an opportunity to pipeline. So this is called pipeline. So it's also called instruction level parallelism. So this is some kind of parallelism, but not exactly the kind of parallelism that we generally are accustomed to, which means that you're not doing two tasks with two different hardwares. You're utilizing the same hardware, but in an efficient way. Uh, and also, now you should always keep in mind that just by using pipelining, you're not reducing the time it takes for an instruction to execute. It's just that on average, you are speeding up the system. Right? So we were interested in what are the stages of the pipeline. So we started looking at the stages of the pipeline. So the first stage of the pipeline is obviously instruction phase. So I go and fetch the instruction. Right? So I go and fetch the instruction. From now on, I will write it as IF. So I go and fetch the instruction. After fetching the instruction, I know that so the instruction is just the bits of stream. It's a bit stream, so it's just some 32-bit zeros and ones. So there is 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, something like this, right? So there is something like this, and we already know that part of it is instruction, some part of it is the source register, some part of it is destination register, so on and so forth, right? So we know that there is some division here. So I have to decode this instruction. I have to figure out what does this instruction mean to me. What does this instruction mean to me? Is it an add instruction or subtract instruction or load instruction, whatever it is, right? So I have to do an instruction decode, uh, and that is called ID. And then I have to do the register fetch. So I figure out that this register is R0 and this register is R1. So I have to go and fetch that instruction. When I say sorry, I have to go and fetch the register. When I say fetch the register, it doesn't mean that you have to fetch it from here. It's this operation of copying from here to here is called a load operation. So which you already know, right? When I say load, I have to give the memory address, and I am loading that memory address or the data in that memory to this particular register. So that is a load or a store. When I say register fetch, it is just that I am, so this is, let's say this is R0 and R1. So I am fetching this into the head of this guy so that he is ready to compute something on it. Let's say I had said R0, R1, and R2, which means that he is computing summation of R1 and R2. So it's in his brain now, so he can just compute that. So that is what I mean by register fetch. So the another stage is called register fetch. So that is RF. I have instruction fetch, instruction decode, register fetch, and the actual execution. So I have to execute. Now I have fetched the instruction. I have decoded the instruction. I know that it is an add or a subtract or whatever that instruction is. I also have it in my brain the values of the register, which means that I am ready to do the execution. So the execution is the other stage. So I execute the instruction, and after executing the instruction, So this execution part, let's now only try to differentiate between them. If it is an arithmetic instruction, let's say if it's an add, subtract, or whatever, right? If it's an arithmetic instruction, you are just computing the value of the result. You are computing the result. Right? But if it is a load instruction, let's say it's a load instruction, something like this. Let's say it was load, it's load R1 8 comma R2, right? So what is this load being translated to? It is finally translated to R1 comma the contents of whatever is R2 plus 8 and whatever is there in this memory. Right? So which means that this itself is an addition operation, right? You can see that this is an addition operation. Uh, this is an addition operation. So that is what I mean by execution unit. That's what execution unit does for this load operation. So it just says that, okay, I have to compute the effective address. So what I am doing is something called effective address calculation. It is EA calculation, effective address calculation. So I am finding out what is my effective address that I have to go to this main memory, or I have to pass on to this girl to actually fetch the contents of the memory. So I am computing the effective address for a load operation in the execution stage. Okay. And then there is other stage, which is actually the memory. Of course, there is nothing happens for an add instruction in the memory state because memory is redundant. Because the add is just doing the add. But if it's a load or a store, I actually go to the memory and do something. So that's the memory stage. And finally, it is the write back stage, which means that now, let's say this guy, you had asked it to compute R1 plus R2. He has computed the values of R1 and R2 and is still keeping in his brain. But you have to write it back to the register. So that is what I say write back. So you write it back, whatever the result that you have computed, to the register. So that's what are the stages of this pipeline. Is this clear, or are there any questions regarding this? So we saw some 6 stages of the pipeline. So there in this pipeline, there are 6 stages. Is it okay, or do you think that there are any questions regarding this?
Sir, here memory is not RAM, right?
This memory?
Second from the last.
This memory is RAM, yes.
Okay, where does it write back then?
Yeah, so let's say in this head, you have computed R1 plus R2, right? Now this guy is storing in his head R1 plus R2. Let's say your instruction was add R3, comma, R1, comma, R2, right? Now when you fetch, what did you fetch? You fetch the values of R1 and R2 in this guy's brain, right? Agreed? And he computed R1 plus R2. Now where is this value that you have computed R1 plus R2?
Yeah, it's in the
head of that guy, right?
Yeah.
But where do you finally have to store it?
In the memory.
No, not in the memory, right? What is this
In the
instruction?
storage.
No, what is this instruction? Where do you store after computing R1
R3,
plus R3, right? So that is what you are saying right back. So you are writing it back to R3. Is it clear? Or?
Okay, sir. Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, but you should have, I mean, it's a good question. Actually, there's one more question to your own question. I will only ask you. Let's say if it was load, let's say the instruction was a load instruction. Do you think that write back will have any role in a load operation? And not just you, anybody can answer that. Let's say it was a load instruction. So we convinced ourselves that the add instruction has a write back stage, which means that I'm updating the contents of the register. But does the load instruction have a write back stage?
A write back means writing it in, like pasting in that value into that register.
Yes. So what does this load happen? So in the instruction fetch, I have fetched the instruction. In the instruction decode, I have figured out that it is I have figured out that the instruction is a load. In the register fetch, I have fetched the register, this register. So that is important, right? So I have fetched this register value, right? So this R2 register. In execute, I have computed the effective address R2 plus 8. In memory, I have passed on that effective address to this girl, and she has gone and fetched that word and given it to this guy. So which means that now this guy is holding in his brain the amount of the data, this data. So now this data has to be stored in R1. So that is what write back happens. Is this okay? So that's what write back means for a load. Okay, let's assume that it is okay. Now, can you tell me what happens for a store operation? Do you think write back will be triggered for a store operation?
To store it in the memory.
No, right? That happens in the memory.
Okay, then I think it won't.
Yeah. So generally, stores get completed in 4 cycles. I mean, in this entire number of stages, there is no write back for store. But you can't pluck it out beforehand. We'll see why. But stores generally finish 1 cycle before in this kind of pipelining architecture. Of course, there are different pipeline architectures where store get completed even far. I mean, even earlier in the pipeline. But we'll not get into it as of now. Okay. So there is one more thing that I want to do. We saw that this has 6 stages of pipeline, right? But I want to I see that these 2 stages are not really heavy. I mean, what do I mean by that? These 2 stages can be, so now I am assuming that each one takes 1 clock cycle, right? So this is total 6 clock cycles, right? But instead of this entire thing taking 6 clock cycle, I have figured out that the instruction decode and register fetch for some reason can be clubbed in the same cycle, which means that these 2 put together can be done in just 1 cycle. This takes 1 cycle, this takes 1 cycle, this takes 1 cycle, and this takes one. I'll write it again. So the instruction fetch takes 1 clock cycle. The instruction decode and register fetch put together takes 1 clock cycle. The execution takes 1 clock cycle. The memory takes 1 clock cycle, and write back takes 1 clock cycle. Okay. So this is what I have told you. I might be wrong, but I have told you that instruction decode, register fetch can be clubbed into a same clock cycle, which means that in 1 clock cycle, I can do both instruction decode and register fetch together. So if this is my instruction stream, right? If this is my instruction stream, whatever that instruction is there, of course, you might get confused. So I'm just adding this. So this is, let's say, whatever. So if this is my instruction stream, at the moment that I'm decoding this, what is this mnemonic telling me, whether it's an add or a subtract or whatever it is, I am also doing a register fetch. Like in parallel, I am able to, when I'm doing the decoding of the register, when I'm trying to figure out whether it's an add or a load or a subtract, I am also going and fetching the registers. Okay. Now, in some cases, I might be able to do this. In some cases, I will not be able to do this. Can you tell me when it might be possible and when it might not be? In the architecture that we have seen, I can club the instruction decode and register fetch together. But in some architectures, I will not be able to club the instruction decode and register fetch together. Can anybody guess? Of course, it's a tough question, but whoever guesses will get a prize today. When can I club the instruction decode and register fetch together? When can I not club the instruction decode and register fetch together?
Sir, in MIPS, all instructions take 32 bits, so all are of the same size.
Okay, excellent. You are there almost, but this will not get you a prize because I can have something else, even though everything takes, it's a good answer. I'm not saying it's a bad answer. Actually, it's a very good answer. So it's 32 bits. You have 32 bits, but there is something else which allows me to do instruction decode and register fetch together. What is that?
Sir, is it because of only 2 types of instructions, R type and I type?
Not just 2 types, but there is something common among the 2 types of instructions. What is common among? You are almost there. I mean, you are almost there. Like you have already won 200 pages of whatever the gift is. But so, what is common among them?
That initial 6-bit operator.
Yes, right. So, okay, but anyway, I will give the prize to Sri. Okay, that too. So there was this. I think I closed the text. Yeah, if you see this, right? Okay, if you see this, right? Everything is 6 bits. Whether this is an R-type instruction or an I-type instruction, it is always 6 bits. So when I am actually decoding this is always 6 bits, right? So when I'm decoding this instruction, I don't have to know whether it's an R-type instruction, whether it's an I-type instruction, or whatever it is, right? And the location of the registers is also fixed, right? Let's say I am doing an instruction decode, right? So now for an R-type instruction, let's say I give you this. I give you a 6-bit, a 5-bit, a 5-bit, a 5-bit, and remaining bits, right? So what do? You go and decode the instruction and you fetch 3 registers. What are those 3 registers? This, whatever these 5 bits tell me, whatever these 5 bits tell me, whatever these 5 bits tell me. So I will go and these 5 bits tell me, whatever these 5 bits tell me, whatever these 5 bits tell me. Can I do the same thing for an I-type instruction? See, that's what register fetch means, right? So I go and fetch all the 3 registers. Okay, in this case it's not, but let's assume that it's true, right? Because you can see that the source is here, so you fetch these 2. You fetch these 2 here, whatever here it is. But here you fetch this part, which means that you consider this as one register and this as another register and fetch them in parallel. So are you doing something wrong for an I-type instruction? Because this clearly, right? This clearly is not the 5 bits of that is representing a register, but it is of something else, which is just telling me a constant or an address. So are you doing something wrong? Or is it okay to fetch something? I don't know whether the question was clear or not. Is the question clear for everybody? I don't know. Yeah, if the question, okay. Just tell me whether the question is right or wrong. I mean, whether you understood the question or not. It's okay if you didn't understand the answer. Okay. There are a lot of people who didn't understand the question. Okay. Let's write down the both types of instruction, right? Let's say we write down R-type instruction. I mean, this is just to confuse you so that once you get confused, there will be more clarity, right? So this is 6 bits, okay? And there is this 5 bits, okay? And there is this 5 bits. I am not making up anything. I'm just copying it from the. This is actually a textbook thing, I guess. So this is shift amount and the function. So this is 5 bits and this is 6 bits. Okay. This is an R-type instruction. What is an I-type instruction? The same thing, right? It has again 32 bits. It has 6 bits here, right? Another 5 bits here, another 5 bits here, right? And 16 bits here. Okay. Now, please tell me what are the 6 bits here? These 6 bits are whatever the opcode is, right? And what are the 5 bits here? What are the 5 bits here? You can read
Source
about
register.
It, right? Source register, right? Yes. So they are source registers. Sorry. So they are the source register. So this is RS for an this is 5 bits for a source register and 5 bits for the other source register. And this is another source register. Okay. So this is source 1. And for this I-type instruction, can I club these 2? So can I write it as source 2 here? Can you look at it and tell me? Is this 5 bits a source register? This one, is it 5 bits a source register?
A destination register.
This is a destination register. But at the same location, what is this 5 bits?
Source register.
So source register, right? So I cannot club these 2. Do you agree? So I cannot write something like this. So what should I write? So this is source 1. For this is source 2, and this is destination. And this is the destination for the R-type instruction. I hope everybody follows till now, right? Now, what is my claim? I am saying when I am decoding the register, when I am decoding the instruction, I am also doing a register fetch. Now, when will I know whether it's an R-type instruction or an I-type instruction? When will I know whether it's an R-type instruction or an I-type instruction?
Sir, for I-type, it will take more time.
Sorry, what?
For I-type instruction, it will take more time.
Why will it take more time?
Means here in R-type, there are more number of stages. In I-type, there is
no, right? So we have the same 5 stages in all the things. So I have, my claim is that irrespective of what the instruction is, whether it's an R type instruction or an I type instruction, I am clubbing these together. So there are always 5 stages in my pipeline. I have just come up with this pipeline: instruction fetch plus instruction decode and register fetch, execute, memory, and write back. So these are the 5 stages, irrespective of what type of the instruction. It's a good point that you brought up. What you are trying to assume is that for an R type instruction, I will do instruction decode and register fetch together, but for an I type instruction, I will bifurcate both of them. Is that what I think you are trying to derive, right? So let's say assume that for irrespective of whether it's an R type instruction or I type instruction, I have clubbed instruction decode and register fetch, and I'm saying that each one of them will take 1 clock cycle each. Okay. Now, when will I know that an instruction is an R type instruction or an I type instruction? After completing, what do I know that it's an R type or an I type?
Decoding.
When 2 registers are fetched.
No, right? When I finish instruction decode, when I finish, only when I finish,
When you finish decoding.
only when I finish instruction decoding. Only when I finish instruction decoding, I will know whether it's an R type or an I type instruction. Right? So only when I finish decoding, only when I finish instruction decoding, I will know whether it's an R type or an I type instruction. Okay. Now I am saying, if I have to do instruction decode and register fetch together, the only option I am left with is that when I am decoding this instruction, I have to go and fetch this register and this register. Right? So let's say there are these 2 instructions. Let's say the example for this instruction is add let's say the example for this instruction is add R1, R2, R3. And an example for this instruction is load R2, 0, R3. Okay. So when I am doing a register fetch, I am going and fetching, because I can't figure out whether it's a load R type instruction or an I type instruction. I will always go and fetch the register that is being dictated by this 5 bits and this 5 bits. Okay. So I will just go and fetch these 2 registers. So in this case, what do I fetch for an R type instruction for this example? In register fetch, what do I fetch? What are the registers I fetch?
R1 and R2.
Yeah, okay. Let's say R2, R3, because I am assuming this way convention. But anyway, I will fetch R2 and R3, right? So for this instruction, I fetch R2, R3 because these are the source 1 and source 2 registers. Here, what do I fetch?
First 2 registers.
Yeah, which means that I fetch both R2 and R3. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. But should I have fetched R2? Does this instruction need the value of R2? So does this instruction need the value of R2?
Not
what is
values, sir. Only register it needs, because it will copy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't need the register. So it just has to know that
Yes,
it's
sir.
R2, but it doesn't need the value of that R2.
Yes, sir.
But because I am clubbing this instruction decode plus register fetch, I would have also fetched the value of R2 if it is an I type instruction. So did I do something wrong is my question.
Yes, sir. But it also speed up my process. Like I can do 2 instructions in one.
No, right? Not 2 instructions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Now can you answer whether you understood this question or not?
Sir, can you explain the question again?
Okay. So till where you not till which position? Okay. Did you understand that this R type instruction example is this?
In the
Okay.
I-type
Okay.
instruction.
Okay. Let's say, what is my claim? My claim is I am clubbing this instruction decode and register fetch together. Okay. Which means that I am doing at the moment I am doing an instruction decode, at the same moment I am going and fetching the register. Okay. That is my claim. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. It's just my claim that I'm doing an instruction decode and register fetch together. Okay. So now we'll see what happens if I club these 2. If I club these 2, I will never know whether it's an R type or an I type instruction until I finish I instruction decode, which means that I will not, when I'm doing a register fetch, I don't know whether when I'm doing a register fetch, when RF, I don't know if it is R type or I type instruction. Right? So this I hope everybody agrees, right? Because why don't I don't know? Because only when I complete instruction decode, I will know, but now I have clubbed these two. So I don't know whether it's an R type or an I type instruction. Let's see what happens if it's an R type instruction. So my claim is that irrespective of what instruction it is, I will read the 5 bits here and go and fetch the value of the register. And I will read the 5 bits, next 5 bits, and go and fetch the second register. So if it was an R type instruction, what registers would I have fetched? I would have fetched. What would I have fetched? What registers I would have fetched? R2 and R3. Yes. But let's say instead of R type, it was an I type instruction. In this example, what would I have fetched in the second stage of the pipeline? I would have fetched
Another register.
Yeah, R2 and R3, right? In this example, R2 and R3. Agreed?
Yes,
But is there a need for the value of R2 and R3 in this example?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? Because I'm computing the summation of these two and keeping it here. Is there a need for value of R2 and R3 when I'm executing this instruction?
We need R3, but we don't need R2.
Yeah, we don't need R2, right? Because R2 is the destination register. I actually don't need the value of R2. So my question is, have I done something wrong by fetching something which I didn't need?
Yes, sir.
no, sir.
Okay, who says yes and who says no and why?
I said yes, sir, because we are doing something which we actually don't need to.
Yeah, so we are doing something which we actually don't need to. So somebody said no.
Sir, but we are merging the two instructions. That means we are reducing the clock cycle.
Yeah, excellent thing. So we are saying, Ashwit is saying that since I have merged ID plus RF, somehow I have fastened up the process because I am able to, instead of having 6 cycles, I'm doing it in 5 cycles. So excellent. So that's also a good point. So any other answer? Anybody has any other thoughts?
So, but we haven't completely merged it yet, right?
Which one?
We
No, I have
We
merged this.
have to decode the rest of the instruction.
No, that is anyway happening in parallel. So this instruction decode is happening in parallel. This is where instruction decode is happening, right? So this instruction decode is doing in parallel. Similarly, at the same time, I'm going and fetching these values. So it's in parallel. So when 6 bits have been read and let's say the 6 bits is taking me to a table which is telling me whether it's an add or a subtract or a load or a store, right? So when I'm doing instruction decode, I am doing this. When I'm doing instruction decode, I am also fetching whatever was there in these 5 bits. So I have
So,
merged
what
it.
about the rest of the instruction, the next few bits?
This next bits.
Yes, sir.
This anyway, as of now, I don't need, right? Because it's not register fetch. So when I say instruction decode, it means that I am trying to figure out what is the type of that instruction and what is that instruction telling me. I am not worried about the 16 bits or the destination register or what function it is and things like that. Of course, there is a catch to that, but let's understand this and then you learn. Let's say I have somehow figured out that and I've clubbed these two.
So the register fetch of the destination register in the R type, you can only do after you have figured out whether it's R type or I type, right?
You don't have to fetch a destination register.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, I got
Yeah,
it.
right. We don't need to fetch because I just have to write to something. Right? So that's the problem. That's my. That's why I'm very sad, right? So I'm fetching something here in I-type instruction which I don't have to fetch because I'm fetching a destination register if it was an I-type instruction.
I got it, sir.
Yeah. So now, would you be happy with this design, or will you say you are doing something which you should not be doing? That's why I will not do this. Any answer is fine. You, as an architect, you have to take a decision. You cannot say, I will not construct the house any further. So if you are an architect, what would you say? Would you reduce the, like what Ashwit is saying, would you reduce the number of cycles from 6 cycles to 5 cycles? Or will you go do what Aditya is saying, right? So ensure we will not do anything extra. So we will not do, we will not do wastage work, right? So which one will you prefer?
Sir, one question.
Mhm.
Sir, after all this process, like during write back or something, do we need to know the address of do we need to know the register
Yes, we have to know the register. Yes.
So is there any way like the processor can now memorize it and use it
Oh,
afterwards?
excellent! Right. So you guys are like champions of C programming. Right? So what it's a great thing that he's saying. What George is saying is that okay, I will do the extra work, but now I will figure out this is the destination register, and I will keep it somewhere. And now when I have to write it back, I will use this destination register. Yes, you can do that. But the problem is, what will you do when if it was an R-type instruction, right? So yeah, anyway, I would have done it at some point. Let's say, assume that. Of course, this is not the way it is done. I'm just trying to get you thinking.
Sir, like after this process, like we have decoded it and we know whether it is R type or I type. So then the processor can decide, right, whether to store or not to store. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. But you would have done something waste. I mean, you would have wasted that's the contention, right? That's what Aditya is unhappy, right? He's saying, why did you go and fetch it in the first place?
Right. Okay.
Okay. So what call will you take? Will you say I will do this or not do this?
So here, like we are merging two instructions. Like
No, not
earlier you
please,
said.
Okay. Never use the word. You are never merging two instructions. What are you merging here?
Two stages. Sorry.
Yeah. You are always merging two stages of the patterning. You are not merging two instructions. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So earlier, like we had 6 stages, and now we will have 5 stages, sir. But the speed up will decrease, right? Because speed up was.
Yeah, think about it. Now you
No,
need.
sir.
Yeah.
No.
Speed up won't decrease because the total time is also reduced. In like what happened previously, that total time was the same and number of instructions increased, but now total time also reduced with 1. So that's
Yeah, right.
why.
What Aditya is saying is that it was 6 cycles. Now it's only 5 cycles. So for every instruction, you have saved 1 cycle, right? So even though you reduce the stages, yeah, you can just calculate it in your head. You'll figure out what he's trying to tell you. So you actually reduce the time. Okay.
So also when you evaluate the offset, you do need the value in destination, right?
Yes. No. Why? Destination is, you don't need. Why do you need the destination? So if it's a load instruction, let's say it was load R2 0, R3. So what is this instruction? This is the destination. Agreed? And this is the source.
The offset is on the source, not the destination.
Yeah. So this is the offset, right? So this is the offset.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. You don't need it. You don't never need the value of a destination. Okay. So for you to answer this question, you have to ask this question: do I do something wrong when I fetch something which I should not fetch? Does it affect the correctness of the program? Do you think that the program correctness will be, if I put something extra in the head of this guy, if let's say I put something extra in the head of this guy, right? Does it affect the correctness of the program?
Not in this case.
No, right? So it's just that you have just used this, like it's like I have seen a Netflix movie before. Actually, it's saw a Netflix movie before watching, before trying to teach you. There's something that is sitting in my brain now, but that is not affecting the correctness of what I'm teaching. Right? So it's just that there's some junk in my brain now. But what have I wasted? What do you think you have wasted by fetching something which you should not be fetching?
Time. Memory.
No, not memory, not time. What else? How does this guy work? What does he do?
Space in the brain.
No, not even space in the brain. Of course, space in the
There
brain.
are more power or something.
Yeah, more power, right? Because
he
is consuming more power because you're fetching something which you should not fetch. So you are consuming more power. So your answer, whether I allow this or not, should depend on for what kind of processor you are building. Like, are you building an embedded processor where power is very critical? Then I don't do this. If power is not critical to me, then I do this because only performance matters to me. So I am okay with extra power consumption. If you didn't understand this answer, it is okay. It is just that I'm just trying to make you understand that there are a lot of choices when you go in an architecture. So there's no right or wrong answer. Neither Aditya is wrong, nor I don't remember his name. He's wrong, right? Neither of them are wrong. Both are right. It's just that what you want. Are you optimizing for power or are you optimizing for performance? So that's the question that you always keep asking in architecture. But anyway, the major reason that I am able to club this instruction decode and register fetch is because I have this fixed width. Let's say if my R type was different from I type. Let's say my R type was 8 bits here, then this is some register and something like this, and I type was just 3 bits and something like this, right? Then to club these two would not have made sense to me. Right? So that is one advantage of using a RISC-based processor. That's why MIPS, the MIPS that you are reading is a RISC-based processor. It has fixed width decoding. The reason is that I have always fixed width. So the instructions are not complex in itself. So that's why it's called reduced instruction set architecture, reduced instruction set computer. It has very limited set of instructions, and the instructions itself are not complex in them by themselves. So they are always fixed width. So that's the beauty of that's the beauty of a RISC processor. And because of that, you are able to do much. I mean, even though your complexity, when you're writing program, it's much more harder to write because there are no specialized instructions. It is much more power efficient. That's why RISC today, in today's world, it is winning the world, right? You cannot have an x86 processor on your mobile. Intel tried, but they could not do it. The reason is because the power consumption is pretty huge for a RISC-based processor. If you didn't understand that, again, it is fine. But I hope that I am somehow convinced you that you can club this, and we'll go on with the story further. So now I have 5 stages of the pipeline. I have instruction fetch, instruction decode, register fetch. Right. So from now on, I will write it this way. It's just that I am used to writing this. People write it in many different ways. Execute, memory, and write back. So these are the 5 stages of the pipeline. And let's say this is the code that I have given you. Let's say I have given you a code which says, so you are given this code to this guy in his brain. So you are given R1, R2, R3, and subtract R4, 6. So this is the instructions that you have given. Okay. If it was an unpipelined processor, each would take 5 cycles. So the total amount of cycles that it took, if it was an unpipelined processor, is 15 cycles. I hope everybody agrees, right? So each instruction takes 5 cycles. So there are 3 instructions. So the unpipelined processor takes 15 cycles. But what happens in a pipeline processor is what we will see now. So this is cycle 0, in cycle 0, and this is cycle 1, so on and so forth. So this is instruction 1. In instruction 1, I fetch instruction fetch. I do instruction decode, register fetch. I do execute.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So why is it 5 cycles? Shouldn't it be 4 cycles? Because in add and subtract, we don't need any memory operation, right?
Yeah, good. Now we'll see why we have to keep this excellent thing. We'll see it once after this. In the second example, we'll see it. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe this one, if I write it, you will get confused.
Sir, how can we fetch and decode at the same time, because we are only one guy now? Means at the same time, how can we fetch and decode?
Oh, register fetch and decode?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have gotten used to the analogy too much. I don't know. Maybe he has 2 hands. So he's using his hands to fetch and decode. Yeah, it's a good thing you have asked. Maybe he's using his hands to fetch the register and he's using his brain to decode the instruction. Yeah, it's just a stupid analogy, right? So there's no guy actually. So there's just the hardware. You can do it in parallel. Yeah, it's a good question. I actually don't have a real answer for it. It's just that assume that you can do it in. I don't get too much attached to the analogy, right? It's just a stupid analogy that I have used. Okay. So this is instruction 1, and these are the 5 stages. Okay. So then there is this instruction 2. There's this instruction 2. So now I can do instruction fetch at the second clock cycle because my instruction fetch hardware unit has become free. Okay. So then I do instruction decode, register fetch, execute, memory, and write back. So what is the time? Okay, we are, I think, running out of time.
Sir,
Go ahead, go ahead.
So I'm concerned that in this pipelining, suppose the second instruction fetched stuff from registers which you were supposed to write in add.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, yeah. So
And you
we'll
will
see.
do it before
Yeah, that
you
will be an exam question for you. Yes, it's a very good question. I don't know who was asking this. Yeah, there will be a stall in the pipeline, and we'll see that example later. I mean, third example. If time permits today, we'll see it today itself. Yeah, it's a good thing. What Devashi is asking is, if instruction 2 instead of this instruction, if it was say R4, R1, R6, right? That's what you are asking, right? Something on these lines, because I need the value of R1 that this instruction is producing, right? Agree? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we'll see that. Okay, this is just a dumb example that we have come up with. So now a pipeline processor would take how many cycles? 7 cycles. Does everybody understand how we got 7 cycles for this pipeline process? Don't worry about the load instruction. Don't worry about what Devashi asked now. We will cover those examples. But just for the example that I have written, are you sure that are you convinced that it takes 7 cycles? Did everybody understand that it takes 7 cycles?
Yes, sir.
I've launched the poll. Once you want, as I said, like we'll build on this. Of course, there will be like confusions as we build on this. Okay. Yeah, for some of you, only a tiny fraction of you haven't understood it actually. But let's push forward. If you are still not understood, we'll again come back to this example. Okay. So now I have done this. Now let's say I take a different example, like what Devashi was saying. So let's say I have add R1. Okay. So now let's see what happens to the same thing. So let's say I will write it down here. Yeah, if you watch a movie, this is what happens. Okay, so this is instruction. I do an instruction decode. Sorry, I do an instruction fetch. I do instruction decode, register fetch. I do execute. I do memory. So does this work this way, or is there a problem with this? Problem, right? Why? Because I am adding these two values and keeping it in R1. And when will I know the value of what is there in, when will R1 have the value of the summation of R2 and R3? Only at the 5th clock cycle, right? Only at the end of write back stage, R1 will have, so here alone R1 will have, R1 will become R2 plus R3. And this subtract is requiring R1, right? So the subtract is dependent on R1. So you can see that there's a dependency. If I do this, there's a dependency. So the subtract instruction, this I2 instruction, is dependent on I1 instruction. So I cannot use the value here, or I cannot do a register fetch here because I would have fetched the wrong value of R1. What value of R1 do I need? I need the value of R2 plus R3. But when I do a fetch here, it will have fetched some previous value, some junk value, which I don't want to do. So which means that I cannot continue the pipeline in this way. Does everybody follow why we can't do this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So why? Because
Yes.
R1, yeah, this R1 is dependent on the R1 here. So I2 is dependent on I1, which means that I will know the value of it only at the end of the write back stage. So which means that I have to wait for the write back stage of I1 to complete until I can do this. So what will happen in the pipeline? The pipeline will figure out that there is a dependency and we'll just stall the pipeline. And then I can do an instruction decode register fetch, execute. Of course, there will be now many more questions. Then there is this memory, and then the write back, and so on and so forth. So why
how
did this?
figure out the dependency? It has to decode the instruction, right?
Yes. So I do a decode, and then I again do a decode and register it because I have to refetch the instruction. So let's say I do an instruction decode register fetch. I do an instruction decode register fetch, and then I figure out that there's some dependency. I can't do this, and then I stall the pipeline, and then again do an instruction decode register fetch. Is it happy? I mean, are you guys happy with this?
So you can start at C6. Not you don't have to wait till C7.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Sir, would there be a problem if it was subtract R4, R2, R5?
Okay, 1 second. This will let me complete. Okay. What was your question? Subtract?
If it was subtract R4, R2, and R5.
Yeah. How many of you think that there would have been a problem? Instead of this R4, R1, R5, somebody is asking, can it be R4, R2, R5? Would it have been a problem?
There won't be any problem.
Why would it not be a problem?
We are just asking for a value. It is not updating that part.
Yeah, it's not updating, right? So there would not be a problem, is what I would also think.
So then we wouldn't need to fetch that register again, right? Because it is already fetched in the instruction 1.
Yes, that's also an excellent thing to do. Let's see if there are such optimizations that are possible. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I will ask you a question. Somebody gave you this instruction stream to the processor. Let's say somebody gave you this instruction stream to the processor. Can I change this to say that instead of having an add, so somebody gave you this instruction stream, but you change this to something like this. Because you say you are not happy with the instruction stream because it was creating stalls in your pipeline. So you said, no, I don't want to execute this, but I'll execute these 3 instructions instead of executing the 3 instructions that somebody gave you. Would you be happy with such kind of processor?
Yes, sir. But won't it take time to copy all these values like R1 to R5, R5
No,
to R5?
I'm not saying we'll copy. I just execute these 3 different instructions.
So, but they're
Okay, sir.
accomplishing a different job, right?
Yeah, I am accomplishing something different. So as a processor, when you're designing a processor, you should always adhere to whatever the programmer is telling you to do. Just because you want to run faster, you should not be doing something which the programmer didn't ask you to do, right? Or you should not do a different task what is given to you. So that is one thing. But the reason I ask this question is, we should understand why this stall came up. Why did this stall come up? Is it because of an hardware, or is it because the instructions are the way the programmer gave it to you?
So maybe we can change the order of the instructions that are being given.
Yes, excellent. So what he's saying is, can I change the order of this instruction? I will execute I3 first and then I2. Can I do that? And still accomplish the same task what the programmer asked me?
Yes,
In
sir.
this case, yes. Sir.
In this case, yes. So if I have to reorder those instructions, who do you think will do the reordering? Is it the hardware do it or somebody else do it?
Another
Compiler, I
Go
think.
ahead. Huh?
compiler.
Sorry? Yeah, compiler. In most of the cases, compiler will do it. Why? Because compiler can look and see, okay, this guy doesn't know anything about the pipeline. He has written the dumbest piece of code. So I will do the reordering. But there are cases where the compiler cannot also do it. So there is a hardware in your processor which just does this reordering, which will not be studying in this course. But anybody who's interested should take computer architecture in your 4th year. But that is just an advertisement for 4th year course. But we'll see some more very interesting and exciting things as we go ahead. This is just the beginning. Okay, I think I have run out of time. So I will stop the class. I know that we have left with a lot of unanswered questions. But just keep thinking about it. The idea is simple. I wanted to parallelize the piece of code. I wanted to run instructions in parallel, so I came up with this pipelining. Of course, I am speeding up. You can see that instead of 15 cycles, I am taking 7 cycles. So this is just the beginning, right? If I have 1 billion instructions, then the disparity is pretty huge. The speed up is pretty huge. But there are challenges when implementing the pipeline. The challenges might be because there are stalls because of the way the code is written, and the stall might be because of the hardware itself. We will try to resolve these stalls. There are many ways to resolve these stalls. Of course, I might not be able to resolve all these stalls. I will be able to resolve some of these stalls such that my performance is not taken a hit. Because if every instruction results in a stall, then I will not be getting any performance. And then we will look at, from the point of view of a compiler, how does this reordering help in the later stages of the course. So with that, I will stop and we'll start the lab. I hope everybody is able to follow. If you are not able to follow, please write an email to me. But whenever you're writing an email, please put Rangarajan sir on CC, because if I miss your email, I hope he will be able to reply, right? Or at least remind me to reply back to you. Okay, today's prize, I think, who was it? Shrish? I forward. Yeah, Shrish.
Shritesh, sir.
Shritesh, okay. Can you just send me an email with your address and contact number?
Okay, yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so now we'll do the lab part. Just 10 minutes. Please hold on with me for 10 minutes. I wanted to finish this before.